I'm Ruth, and I recently returned to my home country of Scotland after 12 years living overseas and bought this Toyota Hiace campervan. Over the last few months, I've been travelling Scotland in my van and sharing videos about that here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about toilets, so if this topic isn't for you, I suggest you to go and watch another video. First of all, I'm going to talk about why you might need a toilet in your campervan. Everything I speak about is based on my experience of travelling in Scotland over the past 6 months, so where you live might be different. I personally find it difficult to rely on public toilets. I don't find there's an abundance of public toilets in Scotland. You will find them in some villages and towns and in certain places, but there's not that many of them, and you'll find some public toilets are also locked in the evenings. Recently, there are some toilets that require cash to enter as well, and if you don't have any cash on hand, it means you can't enter the toilet. Therefore, I find public toilets a bit hard to rely on. Toilets inside convenience stores, service stations, pubs and restaurants, these generally tend to be for customers only in Scotland, so these can't be relied upon either unless you're a paying customer. Also, I need to speak about using the outdoors. Using the outdoors and not following the proper rules and guidance on how to do that is an awful solution. I've seen this firsthand in the area that I live, and it really gives people who love camping and travelling in campervans a really bad name and reputation. There's strict guidance about this, and there's more information on the Mountaineering Scotland website, which I will link below. Having an onboard toilet, for me, it's an absolute necessity. A few months ago, just after I bought this campervan and before I went on my first trip, I shared a packing video, and in that video I shared the toilet solution for my van. So I bought something called the Bivy Loo and also a female urinal. During my first trip, I quickly realised that these didn't really work for me. I think the urinal toilet is a great thing to have in the boot of your car on a long car road trip in case of an emergency. For me, I found it quite awkward to use, and the capacity was also very small. So it didn't really work for me as a long-term solution in the campervan. After my first van trip, I started looking for another toilet solution. Around the same time, a company called Trelino, based in Germany, reached out to me and offered to send me one of their toilets. It looked like the perfect toilet for my needs. I wanted something compact and portable that I could fit inside the sofa storage area when I wasn't using it, and I also wanted something with a larger liquid capacity. I've now been using this toilet for around 6 months, and I'll share with you what the toilet's like, how the toilet works, and also my honest feedback and opinions after using the toilet extensively for 6 months. All the Trelino toilets are manufactured in Germany, and they've become quite popular in Europe and have only recently launched in the UK. On the website there's the Trelino Evo Toilet, which is the one I have, and then the Trelino Origin, and they come in 3 different sizes: small, medium and large. The Origin is the original Trelino toilet, and it has a beautiful wooden lid which I think looks really cool. The Trelino Evo Toilet is the newer design, and it launched in 2022, and it was designed to be more compact and portable and has an amazing soft closing lid and ergonomic seating design. I noticed on the website as well that the Evo toilet won the German Design Awards 2023, which is pretty cool. I decided to go for the Trelino Evo Small in dark grey. So this is the size of the toilet. So this is available also in white, but the reason I went for dark grey is because it matches more with the interior of my van with the darker carpets, and also I think it's quite an interesting colour for a toilet because toilets are usually white, and I thought this didn't look as much like a toilet compared to the white version. The reason I went for the small size is because I wanted to be able to fit this toilet in the sofa storage underneath where I'm sitting now, and the height of the small toilet fits perfectly inside the sofa storage underneath. The small size is also great for just putting under the table or in a different part of the van. It's so small that you hardly notice it and it doesn't get in the way. The exterior of the toilet also has handles, which makes it really easy for lifting up and carrying around, and even when the toilet's full, it's pretty easy to lift up and down. So the Trelino toilet is a separating or composting toilet, and this is how it works. So you sit down on the toilet, and the urine separator, which is built into the toilet, will separate the number 1s, which will go into the front, from the number 2s, which will go into the back. You might be wondering, why do you separate them? Well, when the waste is mixed together, especially sometimes when chemicals are added in there too, there can be an unpleasant odour, and it's also not the nicest experience emptying it. So if you take off the lid, this is the base of the urine separator here. So inside the container at the back side is the bucket for the number 2s, and on the front side is the container for the number 1s. This is the lid that you'd put on when you want to transport it to the disposal station. This is the urine tank here. So this lid comes off and it has a hole in it. Inside the hole is this soft membrane which prevents any leakages when driving, and it just fits in perfectly like that. If you are wanting to empty the canister, you can put on the proper lid so there's no spillages as you go to the disposal station. It's really great that you can store this extra lid just at the side here. It fits perfectly and there's no risk of losing it or misplacing it somewhere. There's also this lid for the number 2's bucket, but to be honest, I haven't really been using that very much. When you're not using the lid, it just slots in behind there and fits perfectly. This part here will slot perfectly into the urine canister, and then the lid just attaches like this. And then the toilet's ready to use. So before you use the toilet for a number 2, you need to put a bag, a liner, inside the number 2 area. So you can either put a compostable bag or a more sturdy bin liner. You need to add a carbon-rich cover material. Examples are organic cat litter, sawdust, fine bark mulch, peat moss or coconut bricks. So you add this in to the number 2 area. This material helps absorb moisture and prevents any odours. I've been using a bag of this product from Trelino called Duff Blocker. However, it's not available in the UK yet, but hopefully it will be soon. After this bag has ran out, I'm going to give the bark mulch or the coconut bricks a go and see how I get on with that. As you can see, this is what it looks like with the litter or the organic matter inside there at the back. After that, you can then cover up anything with more of the litter. With the toilet, there's no need for any flushing, any water or any chemicals. I'm just using this diluted vinegar and water solution just to add a little bit in after every number 1. Before any liquid goes in, I just put some of this mix, and this will also help prevent any smells. Let's pretend this is the liquid. It stays inside the front area. And then after the urine, I'm just doing a little bit more vinegar to help prevent any smells, and then I just wipe it with a tissue. When the containers for liquids and solids are full, you need to dispose of them separately. You can dispose of the number 1s at regular toilet disposal areas that you'll find in campsites or at airs when you're travelling around. For a small fee, most campsites will let you go there and dispose of toilet waste and also fill up your water. Many places charge around £5 for that. For the number 2s, you can tie up the bag and dispose of it as you would of dog poo or baby diapers. Or if you have a garden at home, you could bury it there as compost. I have my dedicated bag that I use for carrying the urine and toilet containers. So when I'm at a campsite or a place that has a toilet disposal point, I will then take the urine canister, head over there and empty it into that. Many of you are probably familiar with cassette toilets. These are really popular in vans, especially in the UK. So if you don't know what a cassette toilet is, it's basically a toilet bowl and then there's a tank underneath where the waste is mixed and also chemicals are added in there. I've used both cassette toilets and composting toilets during my years of campervanning, and I prefer composting toilets, and I'll explain the reasons why. So the first reason is that the composting toilet doesn't use any water. So in the cassette toilet there's sometimes a flush and water will be needed, and when you're travelling in a van, water is a really precious resource, so anything that doesn't use water is great. Composting toilets operate without the need for chemicals. So as I showed you earlier, I'm just using a little vinegar, but no harsh chemicals are required. Composting toilets generally don't require any electricity to function. There are some that will have a 12-volt fan, but why I like this one so much is there's no electricity needed in order to operate it. With some cassette toilets, to operate the flush, electricity will be needed. I find that cleaning the composting toilet is more simple because there's less parts, and also it's less maintenance compared to the cassette toilet that I used before. This composting toilet is really easy to set up. When it arrived, it was out of the box, and within 5 to 10 minutes I understood how it all worked and it was ready to go. So there was no difficult installation. This toilet is great if you're not really into DIY. It doesn't require any plumbing or any wiring to use it. And as I already mentioned earlier, the separation of the liquids and the solids helps prevent any odours compared to cassette toilets. Now we've covered how the toilet works and what's the difference between a cassette and a compost toilet, I'm going to share with you my true honest thoughts on what I think of this toilet. During my campervanning lifetime, I've used 4 different toilets. I've used the cassette toilet, as I mentioned, I've used the Nature's Head composting toilet, I've used the bivy loo and the urinal, which I explained a bit earlier in this video. and I've been using the Trelino toilet. So my honest opinion is that the Trelino toilet is definitely my favourite out of all 4 of those. The reason I like it so much is because of its small and compact size, and it's so easy to set up because there's no plumbing or wiring required. I really like that this toilet doesn't look like a toilet. Someone actually asked me once if it was a cool box, which was quite funny. I like that there's no smells from the toilet, so you might be surprised to hear that, but there has been no smells from this toilet. It's been great. I also like that the toilet is all contained within this outer bucket. So I haven't had any overflows or leaks yet, but if I was to, it would just go inside this exterior bucket, and then it would be quite easy to clean it out if that accident did happen. So something to consider with this toilet is that you can't see from the outside the urine level. So you need to open up the toilet and then you can see how much urine is in there. I was finding that I was emptying the urine canister every 2 to 3 days, so I bought one more urine canister. So if this one does become full, I can then just put the proper lid on and then swap it over. It means that I don't have to go to the disposal point as often, and also this is good for emergencies in case it's about to overflow. You can use either the compost bags or the more sturdy bin liners inside the number 2 area. I found that the compost bags were biodegrading quite quickly, so they didn't really work for me, so I prefer to use the more sturdy bin liners. And if you're a female, you just need to make sure you're in the right position when you use the toilet. It might not matter so much if you're a man. Overall, I'm really happy with my Trelino toilet. I've been using it so much, not just for emergencies. Even when I'm traveling around during the day, it's been so good to have this toilet in the van, because sometimes I go places and there's no toilet available, or there might be a big queue for the toilet and I really need to go. But having this toilet in the van means I don't need to rely on public facilities. I've also found the toilet really great for overnight, so even if I'm staying at a campsite and there's a toilet block, it might be a little bit of a walk away, and to walk outside alone at night in the dark and the cold is not very appealing. So having this toilet in the van is really great. If you're used to cassette toilets or toilets in houses, you might have some more questions about the Trelino composting or separating toilet. The Trelino website has lots of great blogs and lots of frequently asked questions, so you can head over there if you'd like to know more, or you can leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. If you're looking to get a Trelino toilet, I've arranged with Trelino that you can get a free surprise accessory set worth £30 if you use the code RUTHAISLING at checkout when you purchase a Trelino composting toilet. I hope this video was helpful to those of you considering different toilet options for your campervan. My Trelino toilet has made such a big difference for my campervan life and I absolutely love it. See you next time. Bye.